Mike Minnecki. He's a developer at Four Kitchens, and he's going to be talking about how to make editor workflow and editor tools rock in Drupal.
All right, hi. Thanks, guys. Is that too loud? No, not too loud. Okay, good. If it does get too loud, just tell me to stop. All right, this is the first time I'm giving this talk. I started writing it at 5 a.m. this morning, and I finished it before I left. So if there's misspellings or anything else horrible, that's why. Also, I'm going to give the WordPress guy kind of a head start on the next talk, but we'll see. All right, so I'm Mike Minnecki. Welcome to Make Publishing Rock, and we're going to talk about a few ways that we can make the lives of content creators better. So there's my contact info, and so here's.
That was really, really fast.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll be up online and stuff, so you can find my contact
Never mind.
info. Okay, cool. All right. So first, why I decided to put a talk together about this. First thing, I'm not a usability expert, and I never will be. So I'm a developer, and basically it's because I found that these issues tend to get overlooked, and they're really easy to overlook because it's really easy to build the stuff that's really important and that's front-facing and that the client actually wants. And they don't always know that they want a clean admin interface. So I like happy clients, so sometimes you gotta go and do stuff that they don't know they want, right? A lot of people get frustrated by Drupal. A lot of developers get frustrated by Drupal. A lot of clients get frustrated by Drupal because they say it's hard. And it doesn't have to be. And it's not hard to make it not hard. Yeah, so there's some really, really quick ways, and that's what we're gonna go into. Not super technical, just some easy modules you can install and make the site you're about to have launched has been up for 6 years, better. So what we're gonna go over, a few things that I found make a good admin interface, and I'll send you to some links for talks that go much more into that. A few reasons why the Drupal admin interface can be challenging. And then quick wins, like just little things that we should just kind of audit the site. I mean, just go through and be like, oh, did I do this? And then a bunch of modules, the Riddles modules, and just installing them, having problem solved. And then a little bit about what the future holds and kind of what's coming next in Drupal and admin and all that fun stuff. So here we go. So why can it be frustrating? Again, it doesn't have to be, not always. So this is the WordPress admin. This is a clean install. The only thing that's missing is there's actually a big welcome block when you first install it, which is even better than this, but we're talking about the admin interface, not its onboarding procedures, right? And this is the Drupal admin when you first install it. All right, so who thinks they can click around this and figure out what they need to do, right? Maybe I can customize that dashboard. That's about the level of things that I'm ready to start doing on this site. And the thing is, it usually goes downhill from there. All right. So I mean, how many people here have Drupal sites where there's a dashboard? Okay, look around. Hold your hands up. Okay, it comes with dashboard. It comes with. So clearly, there's a hole here, right? And it can. As you're building features, there's so many things to kind of keep track of to get it working. One of the last things on a lot of people's minds is kind of how people are going to fix it later, right? Or how the admin's going to make the stuff show up on the homepage, etc. Right? And so the users don't care. They don't care how the menu system works, or how clever your solution is, or what taxonomy means, right? They have other things to do than worry about the website, really. I mean, hopefully. Even if they're the webmaster, he's more concerned about, the people that are coming to the site, things like that, or the content creator. They're concerned about the content, right? They're not concerned about figuring out and understanding it all, right? And they really shouldn't have to. Like you shouldn't have to understand how Drupal works to be able to administer it, right? Do you guys think that makes sense? Like it should just work, right? Yeah. And then they have their own job to do. Like the content creator, he's got to write content. Even the site admin, he's probably worried about like the Twitter link that's blowing up the site or something else. It's not their job to add stuff. And then our job is to get out of their way and let them do what they need to get done. Okay. So what gets in their way? First of all, the one complaint that kind of keeps coming up that ends up after a site is launched is that they don't know what's going on the site. Like if the site has commenting and things like that, there's no easy place for them to go and see where the recent comments are, what content was created on the site, things like that. And that comes up a lot after sites are launched, and it's not something that comes up during development, right? It's not because they don't know that they don't know that they're going to want to know that. Okay. It's very easy to set up workflows and to end up with workflows where it takes a lot of work to do something that could be simple, right? And then the other one is that, so it's hard to do things that you're doing all the time. The other one is that you can't find stuff that you know the developer told you to how to do it, but then they don't know but then it's hidden somewhere, right? Like in the demo or whatever, they understood it, but then 6 months later, knowledge is gone, right? And this is one of my favorite ones, excuse me. Your clever solution is impossible to remember. So how you hack together the menu with taxonomy to create that thing on the bottom of the page that automatically, everybody's laughing right now. Everybody's done this. So you've made this really weird thing, and it works, and it was really smart of you. But for them to make another one of it, and forget about it, right? All right, so that's kind of what's wrong. So why it's hard to get right? It's because it's flexible. That's the biggest thing about Drupal that makes it so powerful and so it's such a great system and why we all use it. It's also what kind of makes some of these defaults hard to get, maybe. So it's like the default admin, it has to be, really flexible, right? With WordPress, I mean, you have, is that big enough to see? Kind of. Well, anyways, in the top right corner there, it's what's going on. There is a form, right next to that, to put your first piece of content in. And down here is recent comments. So, but that makes sense for a blog, right? Because then you know what's supposed to be in these spots. Maybe it doesn't make sense for Drupal, maybe not, I don't know. So they need to understand too much. A great example of that is the menu system itself is kind of hard to understand. Taxonomy, again, hard to understand. Taxonomy menu. Right? I mean, at that point, for them to kind of be able to, I've just seen so many people get into weird situations where it's why isn't this? So to recap, what makes it bad is it can be hard to do common tasks. So there's no there's no front, there's nothing in front of them that they can click on and do what they got to do. It's hard to figure out the uncommon and kind of hacky things. And then there's no statistics. They don't know what's going on. And that last one, it's also a psychological thing, because when you get there, you're not quite sure what to do, you're not sure what's going on, and you don't know how to find help. It's just fairly demoralizing, right? Okay, so what makes a good admin experience? They really got this stuff right. So why not just build it in Drupal? Because we build ticket selling sites and everything else in Drupal, and God knows what else. So it's designed for common tasks. So in the left-hand side, it's not a hidden menu, or you don't have to click somewhere to get to where these things are. They're the common menu items that you'd see, right? On the other one here, the other part that's highlighted, that's that form that's right there where you can just start inputting content right away. There's a help link that's obvious. It actually expands out to a menu, and it's persistent, and like that's where they can start to get help. And then there's statistics right up front, so when you go in to start adding stuff, and there's 6,000 comments since yesterday, that's something that you probably want to look into as a site admin, when you normally get like 6, right? So either you have something really popular or just spam. All right, so here's like the big takeaway, right? Because it's green. Start from a solid foundation from day one. So don't leave this to the very end. Don't leave the admin to the point where it's like, and don't leave the permissions. That's another big one. Don't leave the permissions until like the very end, because A, they're gonna get mad that they don't like that you're taking them away, and then you're gonna run out of time anyway. So don't leave it to the end. And then as you're building features, make sure each one of them, like the admin part of it, is part of what you're building. So this kind of goes back to that idea of like the happy chimera solutions, which like aren't bad in themselves, but if they don't have a way to like, they don't have reins on them, like put reins on the chimera. There you go. All right. So what do you want to do? How do you like, what are some quick things to go look on the site that you're going to work on Monday, right? To make it better. So are you using the stuff that like that made Drupal 7 better than 6? There was a huge improvement, and I've seen quite a few sites that the stuff's not being used. So one of them is the dashboard, and we'll kind of get back to that to maybe an alternative, but like there's a dashboard there, and you can like add stuff to it. Contextual admin, those little gear things. It's very easy to add new ones to it. So kind of there's a framework there for you to already start using, and you can add a new link to it, so why not just use it? The shortcut, it seems like it's kind of silly. It just sort of like allows people just add stuff ad hoc to a menu that's under the top menu thing, and but it allows them to put the things that are important to them, and like saves you the trouble of like organizing that for them, and also because they can ask you during development that like these things are going to be important. 1 week after development, there's going to be a whole different set of things that are important. Like that just always happens, and so this gives them a way to go ahead and rearrange that. The overlay module, the reason it's a question mark is it adds a lot. It can be flaky and weird, so I don't know. The other three, I stand wholeheartedly behind. Overlay, you can argue with me. All right, so the questions to ask yourself. Where do they start? When they log in, like, is there a home page for the admin? And I don't mean like the admin page with like a million things on it. Is it hard for you? How many times have you come back to a site that you built like a year ago and you can't do the thing that they're asking them to do, right? So, for yourself, leave some help. Are the permissions right for the users that are using the site? It's one of the quickest ways to clean up the admin is to take away permissions, because then they go away from all the menus, right? So, and if you do that first and sort of build up from a low set of permissions and give them stuff as they understand it, they're going to know what those buttons are, instead of kind of starting out there and hopefully like clicking on stuff on a demo site and kind of learning, and in the worst case, like completely ignoring it all until it's an emergency, and then clicking on stuff on the live site, which just leads to disaster. So, the help text for fields. How many people can think of like at least 1 million that are out there that don't have any help text, right? And how many times you get a phone call is like, what size image again does this, like, can I upload to this? Or where does this go? Or what does this mean? And then input filters. Are the defaults right? Do they have the do the input filters have the right built-in permissions? And then kind of going back to the Chimera thing, like are the relationships transparent or at least exposed in some way or documented somewhere on the site so that people can go back and work out problems by themselves? And then are there select lists of doom? We know about like arrays of doom, right? So like select lists of doom, or like when you have a menu, like the main menu of the site has 6,000 links, and when you go to add a new item to it from the node edit form, it just blows up on the page. Yeah. So, and all those things are pretty easy to fix. So, the first module, total control. If you compare this to what we had on, what we were looking at for the WordPress admin, this is a module that you can install. It works very well. It's been battle tested. And it does all those things that we would want from a good admin dashboard. You have quick ways to create content, a content overview right under that, which gives you kind of statistics and things like that, new content, admin menus, and content types. Best thing about this is that it's driven by panels and by views. So as you need to add more things to it, if you need to add more things to it or customize it, it's all very quick and can mostly be done in the interface. So yeah, same default dashboard. Say that 3 times fast. It provides a bunch of great default views that you don't have to build yourself. And then it's very easy to edit and customize. The one thing that I'll say is turn on the in-place editor for panels, and then on that particular panel, then they can edit it right there, and they don't have to like go to the weird panels backend thing with a million tabs on the left-hand side. There's the link. And again, these slides will be up on the site. You'll be able to follow all these links. The next one is an old favorite of everybody's, right? Admin menu. So why is this kind of important to get in there? It makes sort of discovering stuff and looking around a lot easier. If you can just mouse over the menu and see what things are available to you, that's a lot faster than clicking on each link and then going to the admin screen, which has way too much information. So that'll speed things up. Just down and clicks, whatever that. Makes things easier to find quickly. It is customizable. It's easier to customize the admin menu than other menus for a lot of the admin tasks. And there's the link. Okay, so Workbench. How many people have worked with Workbench now? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Workbench is it's a workflow module. But even if there isn't a lot, so what it provides is like is a revision states and the ability to give people permissions that are separated by a little bit more granularly than what Drupal provides by default. So you can have somebody who can create content but not publish it, and you can have a publisher who can then like take and then a publisher that can then take that content and publish it. And it provides, not only does it provide the framework for making those workflows work, it provides the framework and a lot of great defaults for making these, for making the actual dashboards for people. So if you make how many people have like kind of hacked together things like that, right? Where it's like something kind of weird, but then you hack it together and there's a way to make it work, but then there's like, you got to show them how to do it like once or twice or a million times. And what this provides is it provides a great view, and I wonder, so there's like a tab up here, which you probably can't see, that says needs review. And those can be added to the front page for like, let's say the publisher, things like that. The other nice thing about this is that it handles unpublished content in a little bit more, I guess, sane way. So even for a site that doesn't have a separate publisher, somebody that like is actually in charge of getting stuff onto the site as opposed to creating it, allows a content creator to sort of keep drafts and then have a list of those drafts and then kind of publish stuff from that list as opposed to where it is in Drupal where it's like, well, find the unpublished stuff and things like that. It's more, it gets more granularity. Okay. So Workbench, it makes the workflow sane. It makes unpublished revisions easier to work with, and provides the approval workflow, and it's very customizable. There's the link. One part I didn't add to this is it can cause issues when you're working with nodes programmatically. So if you're adding lots of content or unpublishing lots of content without the interface, you have to watch out for that. There's some magic you need to do, and maybe there's a blog post on that. It's actually pretty easy, but it's frustrating if you don't know what to do. The next one is advanced help. This is that module that Views is constantly nagging you to install. Just do what Views says and install it. It adds these little question marks to things. Can you see that? Yeah. And then this is its example module, and then you can pop up text. This works well. It works very well. It has a lot of support for a lot of existing modules, especially like the panels, ctools, that whole views world. It has a couple disadvantages though to it, things that I find frustrating. Not only does it provide help pages, it provides the contextual links and stuff and a framework to add them. It's fairly easy to work with. It can get a little frustrating. You kind of do stuff in HTML files, and it's a little weird sometimes. And then the other thing that I find that it can be frustrating about advanced help is that it's sometimes hard to get some of the advanced help to not be visible to users. Your admins may not need all the information about views, and that's just going to clutter up their help finding workflow, right? So we built a quick module. It's called Simple Help. It's a little bit lower friction. So all you do is put a markdown file in the module folder. So it works just like GitHub. So you just put a markdown file in there, and then it adds the contents of that file to a help menu. It doesn't provide any contextual options. It never will. I don't think it ever will. I'm pretty sure it never will. But because it's meant to be just really dead simple. The other thing that's nice about it, or that we found that worked well, is that because it's so low friction and it's just markdown, stuff got added to it a lot quicker, more easily. We just did it. Where the advanced help stuff would be like, oh, it's over, the sprint's over, can't do it. So there you go. Okay, the other one is Views Bulk Operations. Who is familiar with this module? Okay, so I'm not going to go over it too long, but for those people who are not using it, this is kind of like the secret key to making admin interfaces. This allows you to add actions and things to views. So it allows you to select a whole bunch of stuff and then do something to it. All right, and it provides actions for all the built-in actions in Drupal. So all the stuff you'd expect, and add some by itself. And it's pretty easy to add new ones if you need to add something custom. So it allows you to build admin interfaces where you can delete a bunch of nodes, stuff like on the content page of Drupal, but much more granular and interesting. Yeah, there we go. We have a duplicate slide. Yay! All right. So those are the big ones. If you if those are the only modules you walk away with from here, you're going to take a big step up. And it's going to be, if you're not using them, those can be just huge, and they're all very well, they work well. There's nothing weird about them, and yeah. Okay, so I mentioned select lists of doom, right? When you have a gigantic menu, there's a couple different ways to deal with that. There's actually more than a couple. There's a lot of modules that add a lot of sugar to this. The two that I found work really well is Chosen. That's a really small picture, isn't it? Everybody's been on GitHub, right? So the select list on GitHub, you get like a little autocomplete at the top of it. It adds that to any select list. It does it all through jQuery magic and stuff, and it works 99% of the time. There's 1% where it just blows things up and whatever. But this is the admin theme, so you probably haven't done anything weird, so it's probably going to work. The other one that's a little bit higher barrier to entry sometimes is hierarchical select, but can also clean up those kind of forms quite a bit. Okay, so the next thing that admins do, so they're creating content, right? And we've got select lists better for them, and we've got a dashboard that makes it better for them. And that is selecting content for like the homepage slider and things like that. There's, again, a bunch of different modules that kind of solve this problem. The two that I've had the most luck with is draggable views, and the one that we use all the time, which is NodeQ. And they do very similar things in slightly different ways. I can't tell you which one's better. Okay. So what's the easiest way to get it right? Build the admin as you go. Start from a solid foundation from day one. Again, like start with total control. It basically gives you what you need. And then for each feature, think about what the life of the admin is going to be. Not like right up to the demo, but like 6 months from then, when they got to do that again for the first time, right? That especially is true for things like selecting homepage content or like making things show up on the homepage or in some slider or something like that. Those are the things that tend to get forgotten because they're not something that they do on a daily basis, right? So, okay, so what's coming next in Drupal admin usability? Panoply. It's coming next because I can't tell you how our experiences with it because we're starting a site that's built on it tomorrow, or rather Monday. It looks really, really promising. It brings together a lot of the stuff and kind of gives a good framework and does a lot of the work of figuring out what's the whole panels world going to be like. What's the whole panels world like, and what should I use? So it answered a lot of those questions.
I'm sorry, is that a distribution, a module?
It's a distribution, yeah. It's a Panoply distribution. You can try it out on Pantheon. You can just start it up. That's how we kind of started it, so yeah. Okay, the other big thing that's happening is Spark. So how many people here have heard of Spark? All right, awesome. So Spark is it's aiming to be the press flow of the Drupal authoring experience. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to build a lot of stuff that they want to have in 8, in 7, and creating a distro around that. There really isn't a stable release yet, but it's getting there. It has like a true WYSIWYG editor called Aloha Editor, and I can go to the website and show you kind of how that works. So instead of having to go back to the edit screen, you can just basically just highlight text on the front page and just start editing it. So that's pretty cool. It has a responsive grid builder. I think this is the part that's not really working yet, but there's some cool demos. It's starting to solve a lot of the mobile administration problems. This is definitely a big challenge, and they've made a lot of progress very quickly. So for the reading, check out the stuff that's happening in Spark, see what you can use from there. And then the other 2 links are links to, one's a presentation, the other one's a blog article that kind of like goes deeper into these things. The parts of this that I didn't even talk about are a lot of the problems with the node edit form and things like that. And there's quite a lot of people trying to make this better. So there's a lot of solutions out there, but hopefully, if you kind of just take the stuff that I went over as a starting point, you'll have a leg up, and then we can beat WordPress on all points. That's it. Anybody have any questions?